To help you make an informed decision before heading to the polls, we're inviting candidates to talk with us about the issues. Right now, we're going to take a deeper look into Virginia's U.S. Senate race. Now, earlier this week, we spoke with the Democratic incumbent, Tim Kaine. Today, we are joined by his Republican challenger, Hung Cao. Mr. Cao is a Purcellville resident, and in 1975, as a young child, he came to the United States after fleeing Vietnam with his family. He also served 25 years in the U.S. Navy, some of it in special operations. Mr. Cao was originally going to join us in studio, but due to some family matters, he's talking with us today via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Simone, thank you so much for making these concessions. We have this walking pneumonia that's running around rampant here, and my kids are not prone to it either.
Family comes first, and we appreciate your time. I wanted to dive right in here. Why do you want to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Well, like you said, I came here as a refugee from Vietnam, and I paid back everything that I received from this country. I was the inaugural class of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I went to Naval Academy. I had graduate degrees from Naval Postgraduate School, and I had fellowships at Harvard and MIT. But I paid back everything with 25 years of service to this nation, Navy Special Operations. But I watched this country go down a dark path. Basically, they're turning this country what I ran away from, and that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate.
Let's talk a little bit about what your top priorities are, especially for voters who are maybe undecided.
Oh, absolutely. So right now, the same issue that hits all Virginians are hitting all Americans, right? It's the inflation, it's the economy. We can't afford to put food on the table. We can't afford to put gas in our cars. We can't afford to buy a home. But a lot of that is stemming also from the fact that we're paying $1 billion a day to feed and house illegal aliens in this country. My family came here, and we didn't ask for anything. We just asked for freedom, and we asked for opportunity, and we paid back everything. And so, you shouldn't come here if you're not going to obey the American laws and embrace the American culture, because I did.
As we just touched on, the economy is, just one of the top issues with voters. We hear it time and time again. So what specific measures would you take, should you win, to make life better for Virginians?
The first and foremost, we have to be energy independent. We've got to stop buying gas from these countries that hate us. I mean, we can drill in our own country. We need to look at all the manners of energy in this country, including nuclear power. I mean, the United States Navy has been using nuclear power safely for more than 75 years, and we need to explore more of the small modular reactors in Virginia so that we can buy energy at pennies on the dollar. And once you can get gas prices down below $2 like we had 4 years ago, then everything else is going to go down also. Because if it costs less for farmers to farm their lands, for truckers to bring food to the stores, then everything else is going to go down with it.
What about in regard to housing costs? We hear people say, quite often, hey, it's tough to pay my mortgage, whether they're renters, also, tough to make that payment. What would you like the Senate to do to help in this area?
Well, again, we've got 25 million people that came over here that didn't belong here, and we're spending a lot of money into feeding and housing and taking care of them. We need to take care of Americans. I mean, right now, for example, Hurricane Helene, we've got Americans that were stranded on the rooftops, and they don't have their entire house and everything they own is wiped away, and we're still putting illegal aliens into 4-star hotels where they're eating from room service. And so we need to take care of Americans. We need to look at ways to drive down the cost of housing, and as well as building affordable housing around Virginia with transport methods to take them to and from work.
Let's go back to the topic of immigration and the border. What measures do you support, and what measures do you not support when it comes to undocumented immigrants entering the country?
Well, first of all, it's a 4-pronged process. We have to finish the border wall system. It's not just a wall. People keep calling it a wall, but it's a wall system that has integrated fiber optic cables for electrical optical sensors. It's got infrared sensors as well as seismic sensors as well. And then we need to stop giving them money at the border. I mean, they get gift cards, debit cards, upwards of $5,000 each, which, again, my family never got, and not that we ever wanted that. And we've got to immediately deport these criminals that have come across here. We're finding out that there's 13,000 convicted murderers and 16,000 convicted rapists that came across and are walking across Virginia. And then we need to force companies to use E-Verify so that, we're hiring American citizens or legal residents of Virginia first. But again, I'm thinking about Melody Waldecker, a grandmother who was killed by a carjacker, an illegal alien in Sterling, or Lauren Nicole Leonard, who was killed by an illegal alien down in Chesapeake, or the 12-year-old girl that was abducted on her way to school in Manassas. These are people I care about.
Let's go back to that. Let's dive a little deeper because, again, as you just mentioned, you do support removing undocumented immigrants who have committed violent crimes. Do you support mass deportation of all undocumented immigrants?
Again, the method I laid out there is a four-pronged method where you secure the border, and then you immediately deport the violent crimes, people who are incarcerated, stop giving them money at the border, and then if you force companies to use E-Verify, they will self-deport, because if they don't get free money from the American taxpayers and they don't get a job, they will self-deport and then wait in line patiently, like my family did. I mean, we waited for 7 years to get our certificate.
So I
So
didn't
much so that my father had his was over his bed before he passed away 2 years ago was his naturalization certificate.
I didn't get a clear answer on, do you support mass deportation of all undocumented immigrants? Yes or no?
Well, yes. I mean, that's
Okay.
the method
So,
we're going to use.
well,
We're going to
here's what I'm
they'll
curious.
self-deport.
To that point, there are roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants. That's according to Pew Research, makes up 3.3% of the country's population. Are you worried that mass deportation would devastate the economy to some degree?
Well, I mean, we're saying that the job numbers are low. I mean, there's plenty of Americans that would love to get those jobs, and what we're doing is we're undercutting the prices by paying people under the table, and that's the main problem right now is we're basically underpaying them, and then we're keeping Americans from getting good paying jobs as well. I mean, the workforce industrial base is hurting right now. We need people to work in our shipyards to build more ships. We need people work in factories. And we're not getting that kind of help, and that's what we need to do. We need to stop paying $1 billion a day to house and feed and take care of illegal aliens.
I hear your point on that. My last question here would be, again, roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. What would the logistics look like in terms of a mass deportation of that scale?
Well, again, like I explained to you earlier, if you stop giving them money at the border and you don't hire them if they don't pass E-Verify, then they will self-deport. That's the logistics I'm talking about.
Let's talk about guns. Virginia's Department of Health says on average 3 Virginians die every day due to firearms. Does this country need more gun control? And if so, what types of measures would you propose?
Well, again, you can't legislate morality, and no new law is going to stop a person hell-bent on assassinating a former president of the United States or shooting up a school. I mean, Simone, I mean, let's face it. We protect banks better than we protect our kids in school. In fact, we protect lawmakers better than we protect our children in school, and that's a crime in itself. And if we are more, if we spend more time doing background checks on illegal aliens instead of on law-abiding citizens, we wouldn't have the crime we have right now. We have MS-13 gangs that are running rampant in Prince William County, and now it's seeping into Loudoun County as well.
Let's talk about reproductive rights. We know this is really important to voters, specifically abortion rights. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, what should Congress's role be moving forward?
Well, that's a great question, because the Supreme Court already decided that this lays in the hands of the states. So I want to be very clear to everyone tonight that as a U.S. Senator, I would not vote for any federal ban on abortion, because this belongs to the state, to the state assembly. And when you push it up to the federal level, what you're saying is you want to take it out of the hands of voters in Virginia and put it in the hands of a senator in California and a congressman in Idaho. And I think that's wrong. My opponent, Senator Tim Kaine, wants unlimited abortion up to including moment birth. And that's why he voted against the Born Alive Infant Protection Act. And so that's the most extreme thing. I want to leave it in the hands of Virginians.
Pardon me 1 second. I did want to mention, so we did speak with Senator Kaine. I did ask him what limits he supports when it comes to abortion. He said he's in line with Virginia law. Virginia allows women to make the decision up to the point of viability, which is about 22, 23 weeks. After that, you need medical certification to proceed. He did say he wants to restore the basic protections of Roe versus Wade. And to your point about the Born Alive Protection Act, I did just want to mention he voted against it, which is what you just talked about, because it was already federal law. What limits do you support when it comes to abortion rights?
Again, there should be no federal law because this belongs to the states. And again, I know you said that in Virginia, it's up to viability, and they can just get any doctor to say, yeah, this is a duress on them, whether it's your mental health or whatever. So if you think about it, Virginia has unlimited abortion right now in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I believe the voters in Virginia should decide for themselves. At the federal level, again, we need to leave this to the states because we can't even protect our country right now. We have, tens of thousands of military-aged males that are running across here, and you saw there's two Jordanians that try to ram the gates of Quantico Marine Base. There's a Chinese drone that flew onto Langley Air Force Base and stopped F-22 flights for 8 days. And you have a Chinese national trying to fly a drone and took pictures of every ship in Norfolk Harbor right now, of every warship down there. So we need to protect the American people right now. I mean, the federal government's job is to provide for the common defense, and we're not even doing that right now. And so let's let the federal government do what they're supposed to do, which is protect the American citizens. Let's push everything to the states. Let the governor, let the House of Delegates and the state Senate decide on the abortion issue.
Let's go. One more question for you on reproductive rights. Where do you stand on access to IVF and to contraception?
I have 5 kids, and 3 of them were conceived through fertility treatments. And so I would never stand in any way the way of parents of wanting to expand their family. I mean, I benefited from it. My wife and I, did. We have 5 wonderful children, including an adopted child. So I would love for families to expand their kids. I mean, we need to be more family friendly in this country, pro-family. And also, I would love for us to streamline and make adoption a little easier because there's plenty of families out there that would love to bring in a loving child into their home.
You wrote an op-ed piece earlier this year and spoke about, quote, the rise of woke ideology instead of meritocracy. One of the quotes I have just right as you close the op-ed out, it says, "It is time to reject the cancer of woke ideology and embrace the American spirit of innovation, hard work, and excellence." Can you kind of expound on this?
Absolutely. So look at what happened in my alma mater, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I was the very first class to graduate from there, and my classmates were absolutely brilliant. In fact, one of them is a cardiologist who saved my father's life, and so I'm so grateful for all of my classmates. And for decades, TJ was the #1 school in the country. We changed the entrance requirement to meet specific recruitment goals that they wanted, and the school has dropped from #1 to #5, and earlier this year dropped to #14 in the country, and it keeps going down. I mean, I command the Naval Diving and Salvage Training Center, so we train 1,400 special operations divers from all 5 services each year. And in there, I always tell them there's one standard because the sea is unforgiving, and things like war and hardship, it's going to kill you the same. So I want to I wanted to provide for them all the training they need in order to survive the depths of the ocean. And so likewise with schools, we need less, DEI issues, and we need more meritocracy.
Yeah, your quote here says schools should be next in line to burn the DEI playbook in the education system. We are running out of time, and again, I know that undecided voters are huge, and we want them to hear what you have to say. What would you say to voters at this point?
Again, ask yourselves this basic question: are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And if you're not, then you need a change, and change is not going to come from a 30-year current politician who's asking to stay until year 2030 to fix everything he screwed up.
Mr. Cao, look, we're certainly grateful for your time today. We wish your family well. I hope everyone's okay, and I appreciate you making the time to talk with us.
Thank you, Simone.
All right, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, Tim Kaine, the Democratic incumbent, he was with us earlier this week. If you'd like to see his entire interview, you can go to our streaming channel, WUSA 9+, and look for it on the Watch Carousel. You'll see it right at the bottom of your screen, which is also where you will find this interview with Hung Cao. Well, as you get ready to vote, there are some important election deadlines that you're going to want to keep in mind. Early voting in Maryland started today. In the district, early voting kicks off next Monday. In Virginia, polls have been open and you can vote early in the Commonwealth through November 2nd. Now, if you have not registered to vote, you do still have some options. You can register in person in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia during early voting and on Election Day. We'll be right back.